Please be seated. Thank you all so much for being here for Nick and for being here for one another. I know that coming into a funeral service for someone that we've cared for, it feels like one of the hardest things we're ever asked to do. There are so many emotions, and a lot of them are tough to express. And Nick's death, it leaves us with feelings of grief, sadness, and loss. But under all that, we have this strong feeling of gratitude that you were able to be part of his life. And so even though it's hard to be here, you've come today because, well, that's what we do when we care. Thank you for being here and for being part of the healing process that's needed for each other. The greatest journeys we take in life are with those we love. So it's important that you're all here, either in this room or watching with us online from anywhere in the world right now, because now as a community of support, we can lift up his family as we remind ourselves of the unique impact that Nick made in this world. And so today becomes all about him. This is a gathering of family and friends where we can remember the best of his life, and we can figure out the next steps in understanding a world that's missing his unmistakable voice, and we do that together. You see, Nick wasn't just like everyone else. He was exceptional in a few ways. In some way, he touched your life. And so I think as we begin our service, the best place we can start is to just take a moment to move away from our cares and concerns that are outside of this room. Forget about the cold that's out there, the snow, everything else, and focus your thoughts on him. We can take a look at a few pictures, and we can hear a song that he loved. Let's listen together.
There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better.
Nick's story is not over with this service. It continues on through each one of you. In fact, Nick could tell a story. He could do it very well. He knew a lot about the world around him. He knew everything there is to know about rugby and sports. He was artsy, and he didn't mind helping you out if you needed a little help to correctly use the English language. Your life wasn't just more interesting with him around, it was better. And so we're not going to fix everything today. A few nice words can't end the grieving process. But we can help each other remember the very best of his life. And so in this room, we're safe to smile and laugh. We can let tears fall. We can sit in silence and lean on one another. And we know that it's okay, even if we're not okay right now. I can't give you all the answers on everything. I know there's different views on faith and what happens after we die in this room. And I'm not going to preach anything at you today. You definitely wouldn't want me to do that, other than to encourage you to hold close to what you know to be right. And so for all that theology, I'm going to narrow it down to 2 lines from a poem from a Scottish poet named Robbie Burns. He said, if there's another world, he lives in bliss. And if there's none, he made the best of this. And you are proof that he made the best of this place. The world seems like a very different place now because Nick made it so much more interesting. He didn't strive to be typical. He was exceptional in everything he did. He taught us important lessons in life. He taught us to be curious, eloquent, adventurous, devoted. And that's why he was loved. He's been loved as a husband, a father, brother, an uncle. Lots of people loved being with him from the rugby community. Many loved him as a teacher. There's so many people he inspired. There are friends he cherished and neighbors that really just liked having him around. You see, he did life a lot differently than many people do. He knew what he liked to do, and then he did a lot of those things. And so it was Robert Frost who said it well when he said, I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood. And I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. And so whatever he did it with all his heart. His life becomes this interesting and amazing story that we get to try and summarize right now. And that's a monumental task. His life that began in England, but his influence reached so many different places. There were lots of funny moments. There were some great dad jokes. There were some dad jokes that weren't as great. There were times that he held your attention and times that he loved to encourage you. Nick could direct a school play. He could keep people connected. Now, I'm not trying to get up here and say that he was perfect. He didn't need to be. The person he was enough that you loved him. And love perseveres. Love never fails. That love still surrounds us. Yes, he had times when he was challenging, but he was surrounded by people who understood him and loved him at every step of his life. In fact, Nick's nephew Adam said, some of my fondest memories are going to Monkey World, the week it opened. Trips to the cinema where he'd embarrass me by shouting yabba dabba doo right before the movie even started. And listening to his stories and his jokes. What's a hen weigh? What's a pie cost?
Oh, yeah.
The deadly joke that I never quite understood, but still waited for every year in suspense. He impacted you like only he could because he loved you with all his heart. A long time ago, a group of authors tried to get together and summarize how they thought a life was made worthwhile. Some credit this to Ralph Waldo Emerson. I'm not so sure, but anyway, they said that to laugh often and to love much, to win the respect of intelligent persons and the affection of children, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, and then to give of oneself, to leave this world a little better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to have played and laughed with enthusiasm and sung with exultation, and to know that even one life is breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. There's so many ways to say that he succeeded in his life. And I've got a few words here from his brother to share that with that. He says, "Greetings to you all from England. I am Guy, Nick's remaining brother. I am sorry not to be with you to celebrate a life well lived. I have some health issues that could have some difficulties with what I'm told are usually low temperatures in Toronto. If only he knew. However, I would like to share with you a little of Nick's early years before he came to Canada, of which you have a glimpse of in the photo collection that Sean prepared for us. Elizabeth, our mother, was an entertaining personality who left her mark on all her sons. She arrived in London from Northern Ireland with aspirations to study drama at Royal Academy, but was thwarted by the outbreak of the Second World War, and instead joined the Women's Royal Naval Service, or as better known, WRENS. While there, she met and married Ronald Mitchell, a gallant young Army officer who, like so many of that generation, did not live to see the peace that they had been fighting for. Post-war Britain, for a war widow with an infant son, was not easy, but having impeccable taste for design and fashion, she soon found fame and fortune in the world of haute couture. Thankfully for all, she met my father, a dashing and intelligent farmer who was reckoned to be the most eligible bachelor in the county of Dorset. And I'm told that many young ladies attended the wedding wearing black. From that moment, Nick's life changed forever. He grew up in the splendid family home which was built in 1605 that he was able to later return to each year from Canada. He soon had to cope with 2 new brothers, but found due compensation in being able to go to some of the finest schools in the land, where he honed his love of English literature and the rugby field. In the long holidays, he loved to ride his horse across the fields on the farm and fish for hours in the riverbank. It was his love of fishing that brought him to Canada, supposedly to study fish farming at Guelph University. However, the intentions were soon shed as he quickly came to fall for the excitement of the city life in Canada. He admired the energy, the open friendship, so abundant in your society. The rest, as you know, is history, and he became proud to be Canadian. It's often said that you can take the man out of England, but you cannot take the England out of the man. My family and I have enjoyed welcoming him back every summer to his old home where I continue to live and farm. Most years, he and I would share our love of Dorset and early 20th century poetry by retracing the footsteps of Thomas Hardy and others. So now, good Canadians, I take my leave of him and let him at rest with you, happy in the thoughts and words of one of our favorite poets. Think only this of me, that there is some corner of a foreign field that is forever England. There shall be in that rich earth a richer dust concealed, a dust whom England bore, shaped, made aware, gave once her flowers to love, her ways to roam, a body of England's, breathing English air, washed by the rivers, blessed by the sons of home. So God bless you all. God bless Canada. Guy Trehane. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I know there's many that wish they could be here today, but distances don't always make that possible. Physical limitations of this room don't always make it possible. I'm not surprised to see this room is filled And I'm definitely not surprised to see it was as rowdy as it was before we got going, because there's a lot to tell about him. And I'm going to ask for a little bit of help. And first, I'm going to call on Laura to come up and share with us.
Do I need a microphone?
Yes, for the online people.
Oh, turn this on? Hello? Okay. Okay, well. It was really hard to sit down and compose a speech to tell you all today. And then I found myself just a couple of nights ago just it was pouring out of me in the memories, and I got so caught up. So I did write a little more than I should have. I've left you with a small novella, so please bear with me. I'll do my best to get through it, but I do have a lot to say. Okay. Well, I know a lot of faces here, but for those who don't know me, I'm Nick's daughter, Laura. Okay, and it's really touching to see everybody here. It's a nice turnout. He would be delighted. He would count his Facebook likes, but this time he would be really happy to see this. So thank you very much. Very touching online condolences and nice words that you're saying about my father. It really kind of gives me a little perspective into just how his friendships went and just how strong the bonds were. And, I really think it's wonderful. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with my dad. Yeah, it's quite a shock. It does feel a little bit surreal to me, to be honest with you. But a little difficult it was to find the words. But I think it's really important that I share this with you and honor my father. Is everybody hearing me okay? Yes. Okay. What can I say? We're all feeling the loss here. I think my father affected us. He had the myriad of qualities, and he affected us all in different ways. As a daughter, of course, that's very complex. I will get into that a little bit. Well, he was a lot of things to me, but first and foremost, he was really like my first love. Okay, I was very taken with my father, very attached to him when I was young. We didn't have a lot of childhood memories when I was young. I do recall some of them, but I was definitely a bit of a daddy's girl at the time. Later on in the years, he became more of my friend. And when I reached my 30s, we didn't always see eye to eye, but when I reached my 30s, we had a good understanding. And, he felt like my friend, but throughout my years, he's really been my rock. I've had a lot of difficult times, and he's stepped up, and he's always been there for me, encouraged me, support me. He's helped me keep it together, really. Anyway, so I can sit up here and brag and boast and tell you all these wonderful things he is, but why should I state the obvious? But however, without ado, my dad, he did possess high intelligence. He was very interesting. He could talk on a number of topics, very well read, so very interesting. He was a kind and generous man, but he also had a sense to him that was very soft, sensitive, and loving. And we embraced that as his children. We know, of course, let's admit it, he was blessed with good looks. And, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Sean and I are a testament to that. No, I'm kidding. I'm all kidding here. Dad, most of all, he loved a play on words, as we know, as an English teacher, and just as an all-round funny man. He loved his puns, and boy, he could really deliver a good joke with perfect timing. And the whole goal for my father was to evoke laughter and happiness and put smiles on faces, and he did a very good job with that. He commanded a presence when he entered the room, and he warmed up the room. And you could see people, he was very welcome. And he was a breath of fresh air, I think, for everybody. Funny thing, though, Sean and I don't know what my father was thinking, but he used to recycle his old jokes 20 years later and think that we didn't remember them. Crazy jokes with punchlines like two plastic Italians on a front lawn. Go figure. You don't want to hear that one. You might have heard it, probably. That was one of his favorite ones. But we called him out on it every time. We called it out. Anyhow, Maybe you're wondering what it was like to be Nick Mitchell's daughter for 55 years. So I'd like to give you a little window into her personal life and things that you might understand. They're unseen and unknown. So I'm going to get a little personal with you, but I hope I don't bore you. Because I want to share these intimate details. Anyway, to sum it up, in 65, my father headed out for Canada. He had a little wanderlust. He wanted to adventure. It was shortly after boarding school. And off to Canada with aspirations to become a fish farmer. Yes, that's true. A fish farmer, can you believe it? Well, he landed in Thunder Bay. And in Thunder Bay, he was set up on a blind date with a woman named Wendy. Enter Wendy. Many of you will know my mother. And she's prom queen. A real stunner. A real stunner. Anyway, they love blossomed, and off to Toronto they landed. Soon enough, Sean and I came along. And it was a struggle in those days. It was one income, and you could get by on one income. And my dad worked tirelessly to make ends meet for our young family. He drove taxi at night. He drove a Canada Dry truck delivering. He also found himself as a very successful salesman at the very prestige art shop furniture store. There he could rub noses with the upper crust, and it's something he was quite comfortable and accustomed to. So he was urged by people at the company that, he is so influential and he had such a presence that he would be an effective teacher. And they inspired him and motivated him, and sure as hell, York University got his degree. He worked tirelessly at nighttime, bringing in the bacon, and daytime studying in classes. So he did a lot. He worked hard for our family because we were quite poor. Absolutely. There was a time, I was told by my father, all they actually had in the house, they had no food, but they had this Hudson Bay credit card. And all you could get at Hudson Bay at the time were gourmet foods in the basement. So off they went on a cold, wintry day, and they did their shopping and came back with all the finest foods, and there they gorged. But that was all they had. That was all they had. My dad did a good job of providing, though, I must say. Funny, Sean and I, a little side note, my dad was such a big film buff. He took us to every film, but Sean and I were named after movie characters, okay? Sean Connery was the Bond man in the 60s. So, of course, my brother got the name Sean, spelt the Irish way and everything. Myself, my parents were watching Dr. Zhivago, a favorite of my father's, and I was given the name Laura. So it's kind of nice, but that's where we got our names, from movies. Let's see. I'm trying not to go by my notes, and I've gone past. So, yeah, funny thing, a little joke. When we were very young family, my dad, he was just always so much fun. And he created nicknames for the family, yeah. So he gave himself Daddy Doodah. And Sean, he was Tiggy Winkles. Me, I became Loosey Goosey. And Mom got Mummy Moo Cow. She wasn't too happy about that, but, that was her nickname. And so we affectionately referred to each other like that. It was kind of cute, and we joked about it throughout the years, too. My parents did separate when I was about 6. So I was a little devastated. I was attached, but by no means was my father absent from my life. My earliest memories of my father were in a pool in our neighborhood. And there he was in the shallow end, guiding me, trying to teach me how to swim. I always plugged my nose. He tried to convince me to stop plugging my nose. I do remember that very clear. Another memory I have would be early in the morning. I would wake up before everybody else. In the dark, there would be my father in the kitchen preparing porridge before school. And he would leave a big pot of it for us when we woke up behind. So it was my little one-on-one time with him in the morning. And, I was in such awe of him. I just wanted as much time as I could get with him. At nighttime, I would peek over the banister. He would be there tirelessly working when he got his teaching degree. He'd have a stack of papers, English papers, essays. And there he would be marking them at the table. I'd sneak down there. It was so late, everybody was asleep. And he'd sit me on his lap, and we'd have a little chatter, and it was just the most exciting thing for me. He'd take me upstairs and tuck me in bed again. So just a little kind of cutesy thing. Yeah, getting through it. Well, our family very, very musical. There was always music playing in the house, and my parents had a very impressive vinyl collection. They were really hippies at heart, to be honest with you. They didn't look it, but with their choice of music, I got my first 8-track when I was only 6. It was Wings Band on the Run, and boy, I played the hell out of that mother. Drove everybody crazy. My dad loved Buddy Holly in the 60s. Elvis, he idolized Elvis. But as his taste matured, he was more Bob Dylan, Neil Young, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, who knew? But yeah, that's what we had playing in our household. He even introduced Sean and I to live music. I went to my first concert when I was 8 at Maple Leaf Gardens, off to see ABBA. And we both loved ABBA. Now, Sean was accompanied, chaperoned, to see his favorite at the time, and that was Donny Osmond. Oh yeah, they had a great time. But he introduced us to live music at a very young age in theater. He really introduced us to culture. So we did a lot of musicals, we did a lot of live theater. It was always exciting. And like I said, although my parents separated, Dad was very present, very involved in our life. And Sundays were our day. Sundays were fun days with Dad. He would come and pick us up, and we never knew where we were going to go. Often we would go downtown Toronto. We'd get to play in the arcades. We'd be able to pick an album out at Sam the Record Man. Sometimes we'd skate at the terrace, roller skate at the terrace. But always an interesting place to go for lunch. It's always different and always a lot of fun. And we joke and laugh. There's days when he picked us up and he wouldn't tell us where we're going. We were going on an adventure. We didn't know where we were going. Off in the car we go, the windows down, the music blasting, and all these great car games as we went along. One of them, for instance, was whoever spotted the cow first got a point. Whoever saw the horses got 2 points, and sheep 3, and so on. So we enthusiastically played these games. It made it fun. There was another one we did. It was you had to make a sentence, pronoun, verb, noun, out of the license plate as cars passed. And it was a race, and we had some hilarious results. For heaven's sake, we even played charades on the subway home. And we used subway stops as the charade we had to act out. And boy, oh boy, we entertained that whole car. I had one that we talked about for years. Egg, lean, ton. Can you imagine what I did? I'll give you a demonstration. Now. Egg. Lean. Ton. Anyway, we laughed about that one for years. Anyway, these when we drove through the country and everything, he loved the countryside and the fall colors, and we had so much fun just on the road going nowhere. We didn't know where, but as they say, the journey's better than the destination. My father quite literally made it that. So, he was all about fun and games, and there were times we could bring our friends along. In fact, Dad was in charge of birthdays, not my mother. And what he'd do is he'd take a bunch of our friends and he'd take us to somewhere really fun for lunch. It could be the Organ Grinder, Mr. Green Jeans. Then he'd take us all to a film, mini putt, roller skate. I mean, it was always a good time. And my friends just loved him. They thought Mr. Mitchell was so cool. And he was the cool dad. So we were lucky. We were very blessed. We got to go to England every summer for a month to see our family. Plus, it was a way to get us the hell out of the house and give my mother a break. Sean and I were at each other's neck, boom, 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 constantly. My dad would get so annoyed. Now, my parents didn't believe in corporal punishment. Not at all. It wasn't necessary. Why? Because all you needed was to get that look. And if you got that look, that glare, that foreboding warning, you shut the hell up right away. Nothing more was said. We didn't know it was coming, but all we knew was we better be quiet. And that was it. Where my mother was more of a screamer. Anyway, we would be so disappointed when we got dropped off. Back to the rules, back to mom. blah. Santa Claus syndrome, you know? Fun and games with dad, back home, not much fun. Anyway, let's talk about rugby. Yeah, because that's a big part of Sean and mine life. And he joined the Barbarians rugby team when he was very young. And you could kind of say that at a time we were bona fide rugby brats. Yeah. You know, every weekend there would be a game, and our family was very involved. My mother was involved. Sean and I, since we could walk, we were on the rugby field. I mean, for myself, I know I was caught running onto the field mid-game, calling out for daddy a few times. And I'd be pulled back in. I ate chalk. I mean, I learned a lot about rugby at the age of 2. But the best part came was after the game. Oh, yes, John and I just couldn't wait for the beer up in the big house. Well, what happened there? Soon all the players, the friends, the family, they'd show up. It got so rowdy, so noisy, and the smoke from the cigarette just billowed throughout the house, throughout the whole big house. And you know what? Hey, it was the 70s. We were okay in that environment. It was acceptable, right? Well, John and I would collect beer bottles, fill cases, and we got a quarter for each one. We were rich when we left there. We got left to our own device. We weren't supervised, and that was okay. But that was kind of part of our upbringing. We enjoyed it. I still don't understand the game, the rules of rugby. I'm sorry. My father has tried repeatedly, but it just never sunk in. Anyway, those were fun days. Those were really good days and memories of when I was very young. Let's see. Enough stories. I guess I'd like to share with you maybe the profound impact and influence that my father has had on me throughout the years. Because it was this extraordinary influence on my life that made me the person I am today, partly. So, to lose him is to lose a piece of me and who I am. But I was so fortunate. My father was always so capable of expressing his love, and he was a very nurturing man. Sean and I never doubted that we were very loved, and he made sure of that. I'm really grateful for his life. He was a great example how I should live my own. And I did admire him greatly, not just because he was my father, but because he was just such a respectable person. And he was always my role model, my big supporter, my cheerleader. And he was always present for me, and he was always available. So, never far away. Like I said, we didn't always see eye to eye. But when we came to a greater understanding, that was great. And there wasn't a detail of my life I didn't share with him. I didn't care how he felt about it. I made him squirm a lot. Yes, I did. But I just laid it out there, spit it out. And, he had to take it. But a lot of silences, too. Anyway, jeez. Anyway. He was a very optimistic person. Always cordial, but he always encouraged us that we could achieve anything that we wanted. And he, throughout the years, relentlessly provided support, encouragement, and love. And, when we faced setbacks, he was always there, to bring us back on track and keep us optimistic and encouraged. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah. My dad had a remarkable memory, if any of you remember, for names, people, places. You couldn't pull one over on him. He knew exactly what he was doing that day, who was there, what part of the country it was. It was uncanny that he could remember these things. And, he could be a bit of a stickler, too, as you know. When we met, if you weren't 5 minutes early, you were late, okay? And he was very much big on timing. So we had to watch ourselves that way. He could be outspoken too. I guess some of you know. For instance, being in a theater, if someone was making noise, he would come out with some kind of expression how he wanted to sink with an embarrassment. But he was outspoken when somebody was disturbing his peace. So you just had to kind of just bear with it. But he could be quite outspoken. Some people would say that my dad was a borderline snob. Okay, well, yes and no. He wasn't discriminating, but if he found an unsavory individual that didn't seem to sit right with him or he felt was rude, he would just turn his back. My dad was never a person that was discriminating. He never indicated any malice, hate, or anything like that, and he was accepting of most people. So it was kind of nice. Okay. Now, Dad was a dinosaur who snubbed computers for a long, long time, despite a lot of encouragement. So, my question today, which one of you was responsible for setting my father up online? Because not only did he go running with it, he was out of control. He created a monster, for goodness sake. But anyway, you know what? It was great. He was he's a big communicator. It was a great avenue for him to share parts of himself, crazy Monday musings, missives, memes, newsletters. This was a whole great avenue. And Facebook, well, we won't even go there. He loved his Facebook. Now the cell phone, oh, geez, that's another story. How many months or years did it take him to master that? Well, I'd sit with him and they would ring, and he'd fumble, and those big sausage fingers couldn't seem to get it on, and he missed all his calls. I gave up calling his cell phone, but he did eventually get the hang of it. And, anyway, I'm getting there. I thought this was going to be a lot more difficult, but I'm enjoying this, to be honest with you, sharing this. Good. One thing I loved about him being online is every second day I would receive a missive or a meme or a message of love and support almost every day. I cherish those texts that I got from him, but he did go a little overboard. I mean, he liked to send emails a lot. I think almost every day. And if you didn't see it, well, you'd get a text from him and say, "I just sent you an email. Have you read it?" Oh, he was out of control. But anyway, he loved to communicate, as we know. And he was a good communicator. Anyway, if you knew my father, you'd know he lived quite simply. Okay? But no, by no means a simple man. He just did not put any stock into materialistic things. He lived very humbly in a small abode for many years. Somehow, he loved to entertain. Somehow he managed to cram 12 to 15 people in that small apartment to dine. I don't know how he did it, but there was often gatherings at his apartment. Students, it could be students or friends or rugby people. I mean, he was always up to something. And he could cook. He was very good, very good. In fact, he used his culinary skills for other purposes, and as he called it, he'd like to woo the women at his apartment and prepare meals for them, and it went over very well. He was a very, very successful man with the ladies. I don't know if you know, I'll let you in on a little secret. That man had a girlfriend in 3 continents. So when he got wanderlust, boom, 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 including England, there'd be a woman anticipating his arrival. So, yeah, he was a little Casanova a bit. But, he was handsome, and he was charming. He was a gentleman all the way. That's how we'll remember him. And, well, to me, he was just plain Dad. And I couldn't be more grateful. I'm not a religious woman, but I consider him a real blessing in my life. I had wonderful parents. I was raised with wonderful parents. I'll never take that for granted. They're both passed now, and I had a wonderful childhood. So I think I'm getting close to the end of my speech. My dad he valued his friendships very much. He taught us to nurture your friendships and be active, and they don't take care of themselves. So he put a lot of emphasis on being with his friends, celebrating. He never forgot a special occasion. He was very thoughtful that way. And, his social calendar was jammed right up. If I asked him if he had some plans on that day, he had to check his calendar. He had more going on in his social life than I ever did, that's for sure. But, you know, up to 81, like, he lived his life to the fullest. He had a great life. And in his later years, he still squeezed out every little drop of it. You know, he was happy. He was cognitive. He was still really in pretty good shape. A little mobility problems, but seriously, he was still all there. And I couldn't have asked for a better way to lose him. Was to be, you know, in the state he was. As he used to always say, his favorite guy, Neil Young, it's better to burn out than to fade away. And he lived by that. Anyway, as I reflect on my father's life and legacy, I see a very rich life well lived. His spirit thrived on giving, intellect, hard work, and a healthy sense of humor. He had a very big heart and cared deeply for those around him. As his age advanced, he actually evolved into a very big, soft marshmallow. I mean, really, really gentle and sweet. And, you know, my brother and I never, ever doubted his love. He shared it freely, openly. He gushed a little bit, actually. He was very much more of a mother than my mother was. And he did a little nattering, too. And I told him, "You've turned into your mother." But, you know, he's going to be remembered as a very colorful person, a gentleman, a literary man, a handsome devil, so I think, a clever, funny person. Anyway, he's undoubtedly left us with some special memories that will forever bring smiles to our faces. Because of my father, I've got the fortitude and strength I believe that will enable me to overcome this great loss and to be accepting of his sudden departure. I'll continue to talk to him every day and remind him of how much he meant to me. It's really my hope that he's in a very peaceful place, without any concern about my brother and I. Well, assuredly, I'll be fine. And right now, I would love to say to him, you know, Dad, you've been a wonderful father, and I'll be forever grateful for you. But hey, don't worry about me. I've got this now. Please, just rest well, Dad. I look forward to seeing you again in the future. I'll always love you dearly. And I can't wait till we meet again, my daddy Doodah, forever in my heart. With love, Lucy Goosey. That's all. Oh, and that's not all. That's not all. I have one little thing I'm doing in honor of my father, and this is a stretch. But anyway, as my dad was a very literary man and loved literature and poetry and all that, he was a real romantic. I thought I would recite a monologue from The Tempest, William Shakespeare. It was said to be one of his last plays and his exit from the theater, and so there's a lot of alluding to that. But really, what I'm reading is it talks to mortality and the fleeting nature of life, and that we're only here for a short time. And so we have to, you know, make the most of it. But anyway, bear with me. Hopefully there's no teachers here, or any drama teachers. No names, speak Jim Blaney. Okay, so this is Prospero's monologue. It's close to the end of The Tempest. It was a play that my father produced at Leaside High School with his students. So I'll try my best, Dad. Our revels are now ended. These, our actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits and are melted into air, into thin air. And, like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which inherit shall dissolve, and, like this insubstantial pageant, faded, leave not a rack behind. As dreams, but we are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. That's all.
Laura, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing us behind the curtain a little bit, and letting us know what motivated Nick, what made him him. There's so many stories to be shared, and I'm not going to put you all on the spot here to come up and improvise. We would be here all day. But I am going to ask for a little bit of help from 4 very important people in his life. We're going to hear from Andy Massingham, then Larry Hurd, then Jim Blaney, and then finally Charles Noble. So, Andy, if I could have you come up and share with us, please.
Going to take I'm going to check out the audience first. I'm Andy. I was Nick's student from 1979 through 1982, and we worked a lot together. I was an English student, drama student, and later went on to become an actor, and I'm now an actor, director, and a writer. And Nick was there for me in so many ways, but I have to start with the most recent memory because you just, Laura and Sean, my condolences first, and to extended family and friends who I haven't seen for a long time and some who I've never met. It's wonderful to be here. But I got to tell you, about 2 years ago, the phone rang out of the blue, and this had been the first time in many years, but on the other end was, "Dear chap, dear boy, what's going on?" And I said, "Hello, Nick." And he goes, "Listen, got a couple of ticks tonight to see a little thing called the Buddy Holly story. It's a road show. I don't expect much, but it's free. And if you fancy a nip down to the old O'Keefe, I don't know what they call it now, but it's the old O'Keefe. We'll go down and have a good time. What say? Yes." Well, as it happened, I wasn't doing anything that night. So about 2.5 hours later, we meet up and we have a drinky poo beforehand at wherever it was around the corner. And it was as if time itself had stood still. And immediately he started in with the rock trivia. And then immediately he started in with all the stuff that bonded us. And there was a pun. Oh, good Lord. And as we people are reliving it, there's a punchline, and I'll never remember the setup, but the best punchline ever. Artichokes 3 for $1. That's one that when we were speaking, I went, I know there was a giant setup. Anyway, we nipped over to the O'Keefe, and Yabba Dabba Doo, indeed, immediately before the show started. And he drowned out Buddy Holly, or whoever was playing Buddy Holly, as all the songs were going on. And we had aisle seats, and we were just laughing like 2 teenagers all the way through it. And then at the end of the night, it was like, well, I've got to go. Like, I've got to go too. We'll get together soon. And I'm really happy to report that just this past summer, it took a while, but things like this do. It was again, "Oh, chap, I'm going to be down at Kensington. That's your neck, isn't it? Let's go down and let's go ahead and have lunch." And we had a lovely lunch this summer for 2 hours. And again, laughed, trivia, and talked about, funnily enough, rugby, which I always said, I don't know anything about it. And he explained to me in the most beautiful ways that it's the same as everything. Rules, play within them. Somebody wins, somebody loses. That pretty much hits the nail on the head for about anything, doesn't it? But I must say, it was the times in high school which were terrific, because I was an old soul like Nick. I loved my Monty Python. I loved my Peter Cook. And Nick introduced me to Tony Hancock, whom I hadn't been familiar with, he was very influential. And we sat around, and every once in a while he would pull out the Shakespeare, and we would pass the book back and forth as we were developing a really lovely relationship. And I loved Shakespeare. And for those of me muckers down at the back, there's some Sears Drama Festival people and some drama people, and I look forward to saying hi to you later. They really were the best of times. It was so fertile and so fun. And I want to let others get a chance to speak, but I do. This was the first piece that Nick read to me, because we were talking about Dylan Thomas and about Bob Dylan. Did I leave my glasses back there? This is not a bit. Ah, could have been. Anyway, Nick read this to me, and I remember it was very moving. He did it very quiet and simply, but I'll try to get through it because it does sum up so much of today, and the readings that we've been having are beautiful, and the Tempest speech was gorgeous. Anyway, to Nick. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at the close of day. Though wise men at their end know that dark is right because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late, they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. And you, my father, there on that height, curse, bless me, how with fierce tears I pray. Please do not go gentle into that good night. Rage against the dying of the light. Bless you all for being here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very honored. And Nick, I love you. Thank you.
When I'll ask Larry to come up and share with us.
Nick would be very pleased. It's a full house. I'm Larry Hurd, 1956. That's, again, the memory that your dad had. He remembered his students by the year they were born. And his favorite year wasn't 56. I see a couple of 58ers maybe in the back there. 1958 was the grade 9 class in 1973, which was Nick's first year. And it's amazing how he would remember them. I would mention a name and he'd go, yeah, 58 or, you know, it was just mind-blowing. Anyways, good afternoon, everybody. I am that guy who unleashed or helped unleash Nick on the internet world. Now, I took the job over. Originally, it was Sven Sering, another Leasider, who sadly passed away quite a while ago. So I guess your dad was kind of like, what do I do now? And I seemed like a logical choice. He invited me over, and I helped him get his computer in order. That was like years ago, and we've been fast friends ever since. So they say that a great teacher's influence extends far beyond the walls of a classroom, and I'm living proof of that. I was in grade 11 in 1973 when Principal Mitch Kerr, his new hire was Nicholas Mitchell. He arrived at LHS. Well, I never sat in one of Nick's classes during my high school years. He helped curate my deeper appreciation and understanding of the arts. And that has been an essential part of my success that I've had in business and in life. I first got to know Nick in 1985 during Leaside High's 40th anniversary celebrations. I was just starting out as a self-employed video producer and decided to do a video on the history of the school as my first project. Nick was extremely helpful behind the scenes as well as on camera. It didn't take long for me to realize that while Nick may have been born in England, his heart beat for Leaside. He was a man who understood the value of legacy. Whether he was teaching Shakespeare or helping organize the LHS alumni, he believed that a community's history was worth preserving and celebrating. Nick's dedication to LHS and its people was unmatched. In 2015, he served on the committee for the legendary Dave Stickney, the man we all knew as Mr. Leaside. Nick worked tirelessly to ensure that Dave's impact was permanently etched into the map of our town. It was Nick's persistence and care through our STICK committee that helped to get a street named after David, as well as a park bench on the hill and money for a scholarship, ensuring that future generations would ask about the history of the ground they walk on. Our friendship solidified over the years through a unique trade. I provided the tech support, and he provided the wisdom and occasional British wit, as well as tasty meals that on rare occasions consisted of pizza ordered in. I had been over for dinner on January 13th, and we decided I would come back at a later date as I needed more time to do the work required to get his computer in order. He emailed me on January 18th as follows. Hello again, old boy. Thank you very much for your help last visit. I was delighted by your offer of 2 hours to help get the PC organized. I will give you the choice of any 2-hour slot that works for you before you fly away. A meal will be included, of course, and I will insist on making a modest payment of $100 for your time. Don't argue. Fixing Nick's computer was rarely just about clicking and dragging. It was about the conversations that happened while the updates were loading. We spent countless hours together watching the Blue Jays and the Leafs and listening to great rock and roll music, which included lots of Beatles and Dylan. I don't think Donny Osmond was in there. There was something poetic about this British-born man becoming a die-hard Toronto sports fan. He cared deeply about this city, its teams, its schools, and its people. He didn't just live here, he invested himself here. Nick passed away on January 22nd, but the street he built for us, one of connection, alumni pride, and unwavering friendship, remains. He taught us that you don't need to be born in a place to become its greatest champion. You just need to care. I gotta look at him. Nick, I hope the signal is strong where you are. And I hope the Leafs finally win that cup for you. Although it's looking more likely that our Jays will win a World Series before that happens. Rest in peace, my friend.
Yeah, Nick had a lot of friends.
And you were one of them.
Yeah,
Best friends.
I call Nick Mitchell my most cherished friend. I had a lot of best friends. You don't have too many cherished friends. Yes, I'm Jim Blaney, and Nick and I were at the Faculty of Education at the University of Toronto together in 1972. And I'm just sort of remembering the first time that Nick and I met. And I wouldn't mind if you just take a few seconds right now, just try to picture when you first met Nick. Now, how many of you can remember the date that you first met Nick? I know Laura and Sean can. Well, I can. It was September 28, 1972. That's when I first met him. We had already been at the faculty for three or four weeks. And you might say, that's pretty remarkable. Nick must really impress him. Remember the date? Well, I tell you the truth. That was the day Paul Henderson scored the goal against Canada to win the Russia-Canada Super Series. And I sat down beside Nick that day in the Brunswick House Hotel. It was quite a celebration. Nick, it was such a celebration. Nick actually got up on stage and performed. I'll leave it at that. So as we went searching for our careers, where to start, it was tough during those days trying to find a place to land a teaching job. And I too ended up at Leaside High School on September the 4th, 1973, the same as Nick. We started the same day together, and we've been together. I thought this might happen ever since. Nick was a master teacher, a master. He mastered the gift of being an English teacher. And he used what he knew and the English he knew, how to use it, and how it can be used in a creative way to pass on to his students for over 30 years. Now, as rookies, we ran into a few little problems a couple times. Like the time we agreed to be chaperones for these seniors coming near the end of their grade 13, decided to go on a field trip. And it didn't sound sort of harmless. So, and then we thought about it for a while. I said, oh no, I don't know this, Nick. He said, oh no, we already said we're gonna go. Come on, let's go. And it was to a brewery out by the airport. So we thought, naive us, we thought it was gonna be like a tour, a movie, some food, some dancing. Well, they served beer too. And Nick and I said, oh, no, we're students, we can't have any of that. Well, a couple of the guys came and challenged us to a chugging contest. It would have been all right. And we won that chugging contest, handily. It would have been all right if we hadn't had 3 more. And we won all 3 of those too. And getting off the bus in the parking lot at Leaside at 12 o'clock, obviously, we got a message to see the principal the next morning, Mitch Kerr. Yeah, we did that as rookies. Nick was a skilled director. He loved being in charge of the drama club. He loved his 3-act plays, his musicals. But the one he loved the most was the 1-act plays that he would submit to the Sears Drama Festival. And he was very successful at it. On a number of occasions, he made the finals at Hart House Theatre at the University of Toronto. He was so proud of himself that 3 or 4 times that happened. And we were very proud of him too, and the students that he worked with. Nick was a motivating coach. He started the rugby program at Leaside, became very, very successful, all because of his love for the Barbarian rugby team that he'd been involved with for so many years. That only got him in trouble once at school. And that was the time that he was asked to use our Xerox machine, it was called then, to do the placemats for the Barbarian dinner dance. Okay? It's not bad. We weren't supposed to use it for private use. But, you know, he asked me to stand guard. He was so worried about getting caught using it, he stand guard. I'm going to stand guard, so I don't know. He says, well, if the principal or vice principal will come in, make sure they shoo them off somewhere. Okay. Well, I blew it. I wasn't looking. Mitch Kerr came in out of the hallway, saw Nick in there, went in there, was in there about 5 seconds, just came out shaking his head. What the heck happened? I didn't know what Nick was doing in there. I go in there, and he's running it off on a long paper. Oh my goodness. Picture of 15 barbarian rugby players with their ankles up to water and their bathing suits below their knees, bent over, baring their buttocks to the camera. I tell you, I almost thought it was too much for Mitch Kerr. I thought he might have a heart attack or something. Yeah, great coach, and we know his love for rugby and his love for his friends. That's where he was, 22nd, with some of his buddies, his rugby buddies. Something else you might not know about Nick and the people that taught at Leaside. No, he was our persistent social convener. He wanted everyone, people of Mensa, to have a good time. He organized a Christmas party every year. He organized theater trips for people to go on, the staff go on. He took care of our TGIF organized Fridays. He even organized pub crawls. Now, some of the pub crawls got us in a bit of trouble. I mean, just having fun, but anyway. All I know is the next day, the participants didn't do their best jobs as teachers. Another thing you might not know about Nick that pertains to Leaside, ever since Nick started at Leaside, he took over responsibility for retirees. He got in touch with them. We didn't have email then. He would call them on the phone. How you doing? Where you going? When you come over to school, see us. We're getting together. He did that before we had email. Once he got a hold of that email, man, he sure kept on. So he supported us, and not only that, he supported us right now. Like there's 7 or 8 of us are here, or more than 7 or 8 of us here. He's kept us together. There's about 9 of us go down and see Dave Carpenter every spring to Picton, the county. Unfortunately, Dave can't make it. He's dealing with some health issues. Brian Titley's one of those guys. Brian's in, where is he? Okay, I forgot. John Wallace's wife's here, but John's down in California trying to sell their winter home to get the hell out of the United States. So he's smart. He's like Mr. Take care of the guys that retired. Take care of them. That's what he did. That's all he did. He took care of people. And then, of course, Nick liked to display himself. You saw the picture of his famous opera singer. He loved doing that one. I've seen him do it 10 times. As a matter of fact, I've done it 7 or 8 times. It's great. Anyone that's seen it, the way it works, there's someone underneath that dress. Okay? And someone delivers the newspaper, and that person comes out and gets the newspaper. then he puts a milk bottle out, and someone brings milk. He loves that. And so he was a loyal friend. He loved it. I remember once I took a football trip to Notre Dame with a bunch of people. And Nick said, I want to get dressed up. I want you to tell, I was in Coburg then teaching, you tell all those Coburg people that your friend's coming and he's a recovering alcoholic. And he's gonna try to get some drinks off you. And don't give him any drinks. So not only did he come as a recovering alcoholic, he came dressed as a blind priest. And he kept those guys going, that bus going for about an hour. Then he finally took off the charade. Wonderful man. Wonderful man. He was very close to our family. Our kids still refer to him as Uncle Nicky when they call him. And yeah, he was always at our house, you know, visiting, bumming dinner. But it was good. We appreciate his company, and the kids love playing with him. And I know, going over all these memories the last couple of weeks, I came across an Irish saying that said, "Death leaves heartache. No one can heal. Friendship leaves memories. No one can steal." Thanks for the memories, Nick.
Well, I don't have to say anything at all. You've said it all. And you, sir, should have been a member of our Barbarian Rugby Club. You would have fitted in nicely.
I played one game. Nick got me into one game.
Well-
I got in a line out, and someone on the other team grabbed my sweater, pulled it toward me, and knocked me on the head.
That's usual.
The other part that got me is I don't like running. I was an offensive lineman. I was run 7 yards as fast as you can.
Well, you spoke about the Brunswick, and I have to say, I've been with Nick, and he's been up on the stage, and it's absolutely wonderful, and miss that man so much already. So I'm not going to have to say too much at all. I just, I've known Nick for over 50 years. And when I met him with a couple of his university pals, and we've all been friends ever since. Nick was a truck driver, driving pop around there. And I spoke to him and I said, "Nick, you should join the Canadian Armed Forces and get a commission." I said, "You've got what it takes, presentable, intelligent, a natural leader." He said, "I'll think about it." A couple of days later, he said, "I've decided to be a school teacher. Now I see what a smart decision that was." So 50 years ago, we didn't have any internets, we didn't have any of these things, but I didn't know that you had introduced him to email. I thought I had. and I'm so glad, because between us we did create a monster. In the old days, he would write for the Barb's, what was it called? The Barb's News Bleat.
Yeah.
The Barb's News Bleat. And he was an incredible wordsmith. Yeah, unbelievable. And I used to call him Nick Mitchell, the Toronto barbarian librarian.
Oh.
He kind of liked that. Now, comedy, everything's been said, so comedy, English, old-time comedy, he loved. And he would, and if he spoke about somebody, he could come up with the lines. Loved Tony Hancock, and he particularly liked a guy who was maybe a bit coarse, a rugby guy called Jethro, and very funny man. And music, he loved Elvis, Bob Dylan, and the Beatles. And I'm glad he didn't become an officer in the armed forces, because he had so much to offer, and he knew so much about movies. A couple of times I took him to the TIFF. I got some tickets, and we saw some movies. I don't remember what they were now, but it was like he had a depth of field that I didn't have. And afterwards we'd talk about the movies, and I think, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. His favourite movie was Shane, and I saw it with him. And it wasn't the fact that it was Alan Ladd. It was the fact it was George Stevens, the director. He won the Academy Award. And he explained it was like painting a canvas. And it was an excellent movie. One of them. And he travelled a lot. And he could have taught geography, of course. And his travelling was sometimes a bit different. He was a couch surfer. And he had such an email list. It was amazing. The barbarians, the black sheep, students, teachers, and I don't know how he kept everybody together. And he was the barbarian bon vivant for pubs. He took me to more pubs, and one day he called me. He said, "Charles, I want to take you to this restaurant, couples restaurant, and it's just starting up, and I think you would like it." So I met him, and let's just go in here for a pub, for a drink. We went in for a drink. Somebody came in, Nick, no, another drink, and then went. "Oh, no." So we started to walk out of the pub. Nick, another drink. We got to the restaurant eventually, and she said, "Nick, how are you?" "We're closed. The chef has gone home for lunch." So I have lots of stories I could tell you, but I think we've had a lot of fun. And Nick was a wonderful man. I don't know anybody else like him. So rest in peace, Nick.
Thank you all so much. Clearly this world is going to be a very less interesting place without Nick by your side. But his story continues with you, so help each other in these next steps while you miss him. We can help one another by allowing his name to be included in our conversations. So don't hesitate to talk about him. Yes, there's going to be times when his family is ready to talk and share, and times when they're not ready to open up. But be that friend to be there with them and let them understand that this world is a better place because Nick was part of your life. And so when you can, share his story with others, and you'll see people smile. And you'll know then that he's touched someone's heart as he's done so many times before. When you get the chance, do something that's going to just help you think about him. Maybe just watch the Raptors or the Jays, or stay part of the Black Sheep alumni community, or go to a pub and have a beer. Read a good book, watch good movies, and make people smile. And every day there'll be evidence that he's still part of your life. And so, speaking of pub crawls and pubs and beer, we're going to be leaving here in a few moments because there's a little gathering prepared over at the Granite Brewery. You're all welcome to join with the family there and share some stories and lift one another up. Now, before we make our way out there, we're going to have another song. Traveling Wilburys are going to help us out a bit, but I think the most apropos way I can finish this service is with a poem. This one's not by one of the classics, but by, I'm going to call her a Facebook friend. I'm not sure if that's a real friend or not. But Donna Ashworth said, "When I go, don't learn to live without me. Just learn to live with my love in a different way. And if you need to see me, close your eyes or look in your shadow when the sun shines. I'm there. Sit with me in the quiet and you will know that I didn't really leave. There is no leaving when one soul is blended with another. And so when I go, don't learn to live without me. Just learn to look for me in the moments, and I will be there." Let's listen to this song together.
Well, it's alright. Riding around in the breeze, well, it's alright. Living the life you please, well, it's alright. Doing the best you can, well, it's alright. As long as you lend a hand. You can sit around and wait for the phone to ring. Waiting for someone to tell you everything. Sit around and wonder what tomorrow will bring. Maybe that will rain. Well, it's alright, even if they say you're wrong. Well, it's alright. Sometimes you gotta be strong. Well, it's alright. As long as you get somewhere to lay, well, it's alright. Every day is Christmas Day. Maybe somewhere down the road,
are never going to hear that song the same way again. Nick is always going to be in there. Thank you so much for being here, being part of the healing that we needed for each other today. And as our service comes to its close, I'd ask you, if you're able, would you please stand?
Well, thank you. Good to see you.